Hey, I think I'm live. Hey, what is up, everyone? Today, I would like to hold one final live stream for the year of 2017. I really hope today the stream goes well. This is something that I'm going to try for maybe a couple of videos, and hopefully you're seeing something on the bottom left or bottom left of your screen, which is over there. And I have a setup for a little bit of a story that I would like to kind of read off to you if you are interested. So let me show you the first screen for the application. And this is something that I worked on in the last maybe couple of days. And I spent some time to write out an application to kind of tell a story. And today, we have an owl, Mr. Wise Owl, that says, let's talk about New Year's resolutions for today. I think this can go up a little bit like that. Okay, so that seems to fit the screen a little bit better. But yeah, just wanted to say hi one last time before we kind of jump over to the next year of 2018. I know 2017 probably seemed like it went by pretty fast. For me, it was just about building out the channel some more, and also creating like courses and just making sure you guys out there are learning the most that you can from this channel. So let's go ahead and talk about New Year's resolutions today. Well, and let me try to switch over to scene one. So New Year's resolutions, and I'll get to your questions in just a little bit. I just want to make sure that I talk about what I want to talk about for today. So let me check on the stream right now. We have close to 50 people or 60 people. I'm surprised that some of you are available for today. It's what is it, a Saturday? Right before New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, I guess that's what they call it. Yeah. Oh, so we have a couple of big fans here. Hello from Romania. Cool. Good stuff. Oh. Oh boy. Allergies are hitting me hard today in the morning. So resolutions, right? So let me first share my big goal for 2018, which I do have a lot of goals. And the first goal of mine is to actually learn React Native and try to launch an actual app into the App Store so that I can see the entire process of building out a JavaScript React style application for both iOS and Android. Sometimes it becomes it's hard to like just assume React Native is a good piece of technology, and it's always a good idea to just go ahead and learn as much as you can in that particular language. So React Native is a little confusing. What I've been able to build out lately with the actual framework has seemed somewhat difficult, but that's only because I'm not used to how the framework actually utilizes all of these components. It starts to become kind of hard. So the other thing that I want to get better at is time management. And lately, especially this week, I've noticed that I get quite distracted by things on the internet, especially YouTube, other websites that make it really, really easy to get distracted. So I am trying to get better at just not procrastinating on things that I need to get done, making better, I guess, to-do lists and project lists. And something that doesn't actually help me a whole lot whenever I'm trying to complete my task are like the Trello boards and these to-do lists that people tell you to build out. Like no matter how many times I put out like I'll have a piece of paper, I'll write down a bunch of tasks that I need to get done for the day, and I just look at that list, and then I get none of those things done because that list just makes it really, really intimidating. The whole day just seems like I have to get all of this done, and I end up just not doing it. So I'm just trying to get better at not doing that and getting distracted and procrastinating. So if you guys can tell me what some of your New Year's resolutions are, that'd be great. I'd really like to kind of hear what new programmers are trying to do, especially when you're trying to get into iOS programming. It gets a little difficult. So here we are. I'm trying to find my Chrome window, my channel. We got a super chat donation. Thank you so much for all your videos. You are one of my favorite YouTubes. Happy New Year. Well, you're welcome, Mr. Bidwell. Just really glad that you're able to learn from these videos. I'm not really trying to top the charts in terms of subscribers or view counts. The whole goal of today's channel, or this channel, really is to really push out like content that you don't see very often on the internet. Like this this channel is not going to compete with Mr. Jake Paul, or the tech reviews channels like Marquez, MKBHD. These are gigantic channels. There's no way programming is going to be as big as that, but nonetheless, there aren't a lot of iOS YouTube channels that provide like useful and entertaining content. So hopefully I can fill that niche with what I have. So, oh god. Okay, so I got a question from SK197. What is the app you are using now? So this app right here is a very simple application that I wrote out. Well, obviously to me it seems a little simple because I wrote all the code. And it's basically a very simple iOS app that has like an image in the middle and a UI text view on the bottom, and then it just has a corner radius of like 5 or whatever. And I guess the hardest part is animating this text out, and that's pretty much it. And you just have a bunch of slides. It's kind of like a PowerPoint app. Maybe I'll show you guys how to write out this app in the future. Maybe. It does take a lot of time to get everything working, and it's obviously not perfect. Okay, so where are you going to put your to-do items? Not writing them down isn't good. So I find that for me, I do a lot better when I don't write things down. My mind gets a little bit stressed out when I see a long list of things, which is very strange, but that's kind of how my brain works. New Year's resolution is to make coding videos like you. Oh, good. You can definitely do a lot better than what I'm doing right now. Want to code hard? Yeah, me too. Like to launch my first app into the App Store. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Getting your first app onto the App Store isn't it's not too hard actually, but it's a long process. You have to get familiar with like signing your application, setting up your provisioning profile correctly, and then making sure that you get all the way through the submission process and finally get approved by the App Store. Definitely takes maybe a week to finish the submission, and then it takes another couple of days to like a week to get your app properly reviewed by the Apple employees. And once you get it done for the first time, you'll realize that how much of a pain in the ass it is, and then you'll every time you do it like subsequently, that becomes easier and easier. So next, Samantha Wallace. Hello, Samantha. I want to learn how to build a theme and an app, but don't know where to begin. So when people tell me that they don't know where to begin, that's understandable. I mean, there's a lot of I find myself in a lot of situations where I don't know exactly what I want to do either. So like, let's take this like YouTube channel, for example, right? I had no idea what I wanted to really do at the very beginning. I had a goal in mind, right? I had something I wanted to accomplish, but then where do you start? Well, find the simplest thing that you can do. For example, I signed up for a YouTube account, set up a channel, created like that channel banner, which is really ugly right now. And that once you get the ball rolling, you start to get things done on a more consistent basis. So you do one thing, at least another, and another, and another. So for programming, you want to just start out with the hello world thing, and then you want to learn how to construct whatever thing you need. Like if it's a to-do list, you learn how to build a list, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have THD trying to learn Swift and Java. Negus says focus better on clean and functional code. Yeah. Strong skills in JavaScript, Java, Kotlin, enough to get an internship. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So knowing programming is one of like the important things of landing a job and also an internship. But the other big thing about getting an actual like employment opportunity is to be able to communicate your technical skills properly. So sometimes you'll find that it's hard to actually talk about programming in an intelligent way. So make sure you are also working on your communication skills at the same time. Like, I think companies will always hire someone that is able to articulate their problems and their difficulties clearly, and they don't want to hire like a genius that isn't able to tell other engineers what they want to do, because it really slows down production, and the development cycle just slows down. Where am I at? Okay. Let me see how many comments do I have left. Oh, yeah. Okay, let me try to get to some of the other comments here. Which is better, Swift versus Java versus HTML? None, really. Whatever you want to do is obviously going to be better. Data science, yep. Yeah, I never got into data science, but it's a huge field that you should get into if you want to make a good living. Data science engineers get paid a good amount of salary every year. Got my first job, a part-time WordPress gig, on-campus job, but oh well. I mean, that's a good start. That's better than me. I didn't really start having a professional programming career until I was probably 23 years old. So if you get an early start on it, like you got to start somewhere, right? Hello from Jordan. Jake Paul. Happy holidays to each and everyone. Yeah, thanks, Samantha. Yeah, I want to wish just everyone happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year's when that kind of comes around in 2 days. Yeah. So Yolev, how are you? Did you get my message? I think I got a couple of messages from you and quite a few others. So maybe that should be my other resolution, to get better at responding to messages. Nice try the gang. New Year's resolution is an excuse for not yet doing something you should have done already. I can't completely agree with that. But that's true. If you're trying to get healthy, you should start as soon as you can. There's really no point in delaying it any further. I hope you get over your cold soon. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a cold or it's more of a morning allergies. It really gets to me sometimes. I like the font of the app. Seems nice to read. I think that's just Avenir. Okay, so back to the little cartoon here. So yeah, for the new year of 2018, this is kind of my goal too. I want to challenge myself by learning different programming languages, and when it comes to a new language, I think it's really fun for me to learn something new, And you also start to understand why the things that you do in a different language, like why they do things that way. So learning more things is definitely a lot better than just sticking to one set of like one piece of the stack. Is that what you want to call it? So yeah, just go and try to learn as much as you can, obviously. And the big thing that kind of doesn't work for me is when I try to set goals that are too high. So don't try to learn everything at once, right? You want to pace yourself for the fact that 2018 is going to be a long year. So if you have goals that you want to get done for the entire year of 2018, like obviously don't try to get everything done in the month of January. Like everything kind of starts from a small little one beginning baby step. And you just want to make sure to don't try to overwhelm yourself, obviously. Otherwise, you'll end up crying like me if you try to do too much. So again, set realistic goals. And when I say realistic, I don't mean in the sense that you can actually like accomplish something, but set something that's practical, like a practical goal for like maybe a week or a day. Don't try to do things that have to actually take months and months to get done. It just doesn't work that way. So the huge thing is you want to set short-term goals, and you don't want to set too many long-term goals for the month of January. You know, just take one day at a time. And yeah, and the final thing I want to say is you want to kind of learn to love the process of learning. Now, this is something that I didn't really understand until later on in life. You know, going to school just really kills the inspiration and motivation to learn things. And it's kind of funny and kind of ironic at the same time. You don't have that drive to pick up or to learn new things at school, because everything is just about grades, and you're just competing with like your other classmates to get the best grade. And that's not really how learning should be. And once you graduate and you get out of college, you don't have that same type of environment anymore, really. Everything is all about how much you've learned and how fast you're able to pick up something. You're not competing with other students anymore. And throughout your entire academic life, you're just competing, trying to get the straight A's, 4.0 grade point average, get into the best school, and do all this unnecessary stress that you gain over those school years. Once you graduate, you notice that none of that stuff even matters at all, which is really ironic. That's all I want to talk about in terms of school. Best way to learn Python, I don't know. For me, anytime I want to learn something new, you just learn the hello world and then go from there. Learn game development. Yeah. So something I always wanted to try is to build out like a tower defense game. I'm a big fan of like just tower defense in general. I used to play a lot of StarCraft 1. I didn't really get into StarCraft 2, but a lot of these StarCraft maps had a lot of these tower defense style custom maps, and I remember playing those until like 5 a.m. in the morning with some friends. And yeah, even now I play it on my iPhone a lot. So my iPhone right here. I do end up playing a lot of tower defense games, which is cool. Yeah. You know, something that's really annoying about the iPhone 10 is that whenever you wake up with your phone and you try to unlock it, you have to make sure that your eyes are fully open, right? And the problem is that when you're sleeping and you just wake up, like your eyes are always going to be closed and you can't open both eyes at the same time. So it's really hard to unlock your phone right when you wake up. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you shouldn't be unlocking your phone when you first wake up. Who knows? But I find that to be something that's continually annoying me and find it frustrating at the same time. New Year's resolution is to dominate Swift, PHP, and SQL. I think those are a good couple of languages to learn. Yeah. Thank you for the videos. We need advanced course in Android Studio. So the video that we put out today, do you want something more advanced than that? Right? So maybe I'll put out an Instagram Firebase Android course, which I will maybe sell on the website. Yeah, who knows? Yeah. New Year's resolutions: create a decentralized app and new digital cryptocurrency and get into the market. Oh, good luck. Alex Bogdan says, why Objective-C is more popular than Swift? Well, Objective-C has been out for a lot longer. I love React Native. I've been watching your videos and learning about iOS, Android. Being a web dev, I'm pretty good with React, but learning the native components is helping me with React Native too. Yep. I understand what you're talking about. Yeah. Whatever you want, activity indicator. Add it in the cell, add it in the main view controller, add it to the collection view. It's all up to you. New Year's resolution: learn Kotlin and Android development, and get more familiar with AV Foundation, and hopefully get up and running with SpriteKit watchOS. Cool. A decentralized iOS app, is that possible? I don't know exactly what you mean by decentralized. Do you mean an app that's like not localized? Not really sure what that means. What's better, React Native, Android Studio for building native apps for Android? I find that if you don't know how to build an Android app, trying to understand how React Native works is hard. Yeah. It seems like when you're building out a React Native app, you're still building out like a web. It feels like you're building out a web app still. Like, it doesn't seem very native, and the approaches that you take if you've never built out a native Android app will be incorrect if you approach it from a React JS point of view. So yeah, Facebook recommends that you have to learn both. To be really good at both, you have to understand both set of technologies. Okay, New Year's resolution: learn Kotlin, blockchain, iOS gaming development. Cool. Okay, so TT Video says that the Instagram Firebase tutorial is great. Thank you for your help as well. Cool. Happy to help. Yeah. So the questions that I do get for the courses that I've released on the website, I do get a lot of questions. I try to answer them as best as I can. Sometimes I don't have the time to just dedicate to answering like one question after another. So I do apologize if I don't respond in a timely manner. I try to respond within like 24 hours. And yeah, so seeing that I'm a one-person team, I don't have anyone helping me out. I try to do this as best as I can. And I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, but sometimes it does get a little bit, trying to juggle everything at the same time. It's like, just can't do it. Sick too? That's okay, Cedar, sick too. Can't wait for tomorrow so I can sleep all day. So tomorrow is New Year's. Well, you should be sleeping today then. Today's Saturday, right? Okay, so Ozil C says that thank you for your job. Well, you're welcome for getting into the channel, supporting it, and all this good stuff. What are your plans about the new paid Swift courses? So what are the plans for new Swift courses? Well, I wanted to actually update the Instagram course with another lesson. So I have one plan for expandable UI text view. So whenever you're typing something in the little chat box. So let me see if I can show you this really quickly here. I think I have it on this app. So let me bring back this guy. Slip that in there. Switch over this. So doing all of this live is interesting. So we'll bring this guy over, and maybe we'll make this guy a little bit taller. Maybe I should have this done before I set up the stream, huh? Okay, that looks somewhat better. Okay. So the thing about the Instagram course is that the commenting section for each one of these posts, right? You can click on the comment button in the little middle there. And we had an issue where the simulator wasn't showing the comment section or the comment little box on the very bottom correctly above the safe area. So we have to fix that first, as well as the issue where when you start typing things into the little text field is what we had before. So we used to use a UI text field to make this, right? So we have to change this to a UI text view. Gotta use a UI text view instead to enable word wrapping. However, you have to properly calculate the the CG size of your text view that can hold all of your text. So you see how it kind of word wraps, and I wanted to actually show you guys how to do this because it's something that you should understand how to build out, and a lot of you have actually asked for this feature, so that's kind of why I wanted to do it. But yeah, interesting feature. And so for other courses, I wanted to make a mapping course and also an audio app of some kind. So I'm looking at Spotify, I'm looking at the podcast app, and there was something else, I think Google Play Music. So I'm trying to figure out which one I want to build out, and then we'll see what we can do. Yeah. So Adnan says that I have a problem understanding private function and file private function and vars. Do you have any recommendations? Well, it's kind of difficult to really understand this stuff until you have a need to use it. But basically, you should make your functions and variables private almost always. So always make it private or file private whenever you can. And this is something called encapsulation. You learn about encapsulation in like a lot of computer science classes. And the less that you provide access to like an outside class, the easier your program is to maintain and to actually understand what's going on. So that's kind of why you want to use private. And whenever you need to expose a property or a function to a second class, that's when you want to make it public. And so by default, everything is public instead of Swift, and I guess most languages, that's a default accessor. Is that what you call it? Privilege level, I guess. So it's it's an easy concept to understand once you study up on encapsulation. But yeah, I think there is server-side Swift now. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of server-side Swift. I guess that's all I want to say about that. So Simon Preet says that I'm going to read more technical books this year. Currently reading TDD and iOS using Swift from Apress. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I personally don't enjoy reading a lot of books, but I think that's only because I haven't really found any good books that have really been interesting to me. Yeah. Like sometimes it's hard for me to actually pick up a book and just start reading it because I find the internet to be more helpful because I can search for things. And that's why I don't really want to search through a book because that's impossible. So Travis says, what advice would you give a smart driven college student about entering the real world? What advice should they ignore? The thing that you should understand is that programming takes a lot of time. 8 hours a day isn't actually the typical work day. It's more like 10 to 11 hours every day. And when you're first starting out, it's more like every waking hour that you have is dedicated to programming for the first like 3 to 5 years. And then after that, you can kind of pick and choose what kind of job you want to work at. So if you're not ready to dedicate that amount of time to this craft of programming, then you're going to find it hard. You're going to struggle to get things done unless you're a genius, and there's plenty of genius programmers out there that get things done within like 5 hours a day and you can just enjoy the rest. Do you plan for Xamarin? No, not really. I don't really do non-native development on this channel. Like trying to actually teach cross-platform development itself is a pretty advanced topic because, well, first of all, it takes a lot of time setting up all these tools like npm and installing all this stuff to get it all working. I don't know. But random, what tea do you prefer? I'm currently drinking green tea. I don't really have a preference. It's just what I have. Does the Instagram course can help me integrate APNS to the chat app I'm building? Well, the Instagram course has that section where we talk about push notifications and how you would actually send a push notification when you follow like a different user. So all you have to do is you want to modify that. You want to modify the direction that you're sending the message. And yeah, the course should help you. Obviously, we don't go over like chatting, but you should be able to expand upon the push notification concept. Ilya says that, hello, Brian. I love your courses. You are an awesome teacher. Well, thank you. Good to have you be here, and hope you stay for more courses. I find much closer to C++. Really did dive in too much. Just remember not liking Soul C compiler. Yep. Oh, cool. Said to use a thank you note to show you my appreciation. Thank you for this great channel. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so we got a couple of messages left. What do you think that is a better offline functionality? I don't know. Don't really want to answer that right now. What do you think is better, storing in Android Studio from a time picker? I have no idea. Oh, Java date time or Joda time. I don't know. Just save the. I guess I would pick Java time because I don't really have too much experience with the Joda time library. Even though a lot of people do use Joda time. We'll expand my abilities in programming. Yeah. Learning TDD. Give us some tips how to accelerate the process of learning. I don't really have any super great tips about accelerating the process of learning. The only way that you can learn faster and better is to have an actual real world example that uses this like technology that you're trying to learn. So if you have someone that is able to provide you with like an actual project, then that should help you learn the thing better because it's a practical example. I don't know. Shifting from a Swift to Objective-C and storyboards to Code UI. I'm having a problem accessing implementing custom delegates in Objective-C with the response to selector method helps or wow. You probably don't want to use this method if you're doing custom delegates. It seems like you're probably not using it correctly. Okay, so do you ever miss working as a software engineer at a company now that you are doing YouTube? I don't really miss the software engineering part. Yeah, whenever I was working as an engineer, I just felt like I wasn't working on the things that I wanted to actually do. So yeah. Like I've always wanted to build something out for myself and not for someone else. So never really enjoyed like writing code for my manager or my boss. But the things that I do miss are like company gatherings, actually seeing other people in the office. And yeah, that stuff actually does matter a lot. Yep. Thanks for the Android series. 14 years old and love programming, which is the best language for me. And 18, I'm also familiar with Swift. I don't know. Whatever you have access to is going to be the best language for you. That's just the honest truth. There really isn't a best language. How long have you been coding? I don't know, like 15 years maybe. Can you do a course about building UI just using code? I wouldn't mind paying for it. Well, all of the courses that are on the website, we build out each and every application just using code. We have a lot of the same resolutions. I'm trying to be more consistent, productive, less doubting, self-doubting. Also trying to learn about CS in general. It seems most of your subscribers are pros. I think for the channel, the audience on this channel, not everyone is like a super professional programmer, but you'll find a big range in terms of skill level on this channel. So it's just a process of, going from not knowing a whole lot in the beginning, and then you level up as you go along. What advanced Swift resources do you recommend for iOS development without storyboard, books, or any sources? That's kind of difficult because there aren't like a whole lot of non-storyboard tutorials on the web. And so the reason why you find like 99% of tutorials just using the storyboard is because there's really a couple of reasons. The first one is because how do I want to put this? Programmers that actually know what the heck they're doing, like real good programmers, they don't really have a whole lot of time to spend writing blog posts and writing tutorials, right? Their time is better spent actually writing programming and actually doing programming, building out projects. So the good programmers don't have the time to dedicate to this kind of stuff. So what you'll find is that people that aren't even programmers, really, people that don't know about real programming, especially real Swift and iOS programming, they're the ones that end up actually writing these guides online. So, I mean, it's because they're not really doing like iOS programming. So, they're writing these guides about how to build out the app. And the goals of the internet is to get the most amount of traffic as possible to your blog post or to your website. So you obviously have to write something that's easy to understand. And in terms of programming and iOS, the thing that's easy to understand is a visual, is definitely visual, right? And the storyboard is visual. So most of these people that aren't real programmers will use the storyboard to try to teach you how things work. And that's how you end up with 99% of iOS tutorials being just the storyboard. And then now you kind of run into this problem where you don't have a lot of resources to learn about UI or learn about coding everything for your app. And the problem now is most of the companies that you actually work at, like real software companies, they will avoid using the storyboard because it's like building out a web page using a visual editor. No one really does this. Like, actually, no company should be using a visual editor. So you kind of have to learn how to do things just using code. And it's actually really easy. So I was a storyboard. So I started off as a Zib programmer for iOS, the Zib nib files. And so Zib and nibs are actually more programmatic than the storyboard. And then I really didn't really like the storyboard when it first came out. And then you learn how to use it, and then you realize, man, this thing's really clunky. I had to do all this thing with this little visual thing. It just really doesn't make any sense. And then you just break everything down. You go, oh, here's how you actually link this thing together using code, and it's actually really easy. Is it $99 for the submission to the App Store? Yep. $99. Yeah, I think I've paid this $99 maybe 4 to 5 times already. So yeah, I think I've paid it about 4 times. So $400 to Apple, and I've never really had a app on the App Store. It was only really to make the submission process. Yeah, it was only for like proof of concept apps and to put things on my portfolio. Do you use RX Swift? Sometimes. Whenever it makes the job easier, which it does certainly make the job a lot easier in a lot of cases. So RX Swift is a good piece of tech. It's not that it's RX Swift specifically, but it's the idea of being reactive, which makes UI programming especially easier. And it's all about UI programming, really. Like, how do you respond to these 4 text fields having a certain amount of input? How do you verify that your entire form is filled out so your submit button should be kind of lit up? This is very common problems that RX Swift does a really good job at solving, and it doesn't make your like entire validation code like super hard to follow and super hard to maintain. Are Xamarin apps bad? Are they slower? I don't think they're slower at all. It compiles down to native anyways. New Year's resolution is to launch my app, and yeah, whole app is coded as taught by you. Cool. Yeah, a lot of these features you can find in that Instagram course anyways. So when did you start coding and how did you get into it? I think I started coding in Flash when I was like 16 or 17. I think it was junior year of high school. And I really liked it. If I could do it all over again, I would like to kind of skip colors so that I can just get right into programming. But that, even to this day, that's not really an option. Okay, so this is an interesting couple of paragraphs. So Ilya says that it is almost 1 year since I began learning Swift. At the beginning, somehow I came to one of your videos and did not understand you. I thought you were a bad teacher. Then after a couple of months, I began to understand you and all of your courses. Now I am watching your videos with great interest. Thank you. Well, it's good to hear. I'm not surprised that a lot of people don't enjoy the programmatic approach. But once you get used to it, you actually become a better programmer. Okay, so 45 minutes in, I think I will try to close this out in the next 5 minutes. So any last questions, make sure you get it in, and then I will say my goodbyes. And then I'll probably see everyone next year, 2018. Not really sure how many of these live streams I'll do next year, but you'll definitely see me around. If you had to choose learn iOS development or Android development, which one would you choose? Well, I chose Android in the beginning because I had a Samsung Galaxy phone like 6 years ago. And then I bought an iPad and got into iOS. So really, depends on you. It's kind of, I don't know, funny. I find it, I don't know, maybe I have these questions as well, but whatever you want to get into, it's your choice, right? Like who cares what some guy on the internet has to say? It's all up to you what you want to do and what you have access to. If you don't have access to this stuff, then it's kind of impossible. YouTube versus App Store developer, which is more worthwhile to invest? I don't think either one of these are a good idea, really. Being a YouTuber is actually really hard. If you're not someone that knows how to control or maximize your own time, then you're not going to be a really good YouTuber. And being an App Store developer is just as hard because there's not a whole lot of money in it. So if you're just starting out, none of these options are really good. Yeah. Yeah. The iPhone 10? I don't know. It's all right. I actually bought my mom an iPhone 8 Plus the other day, and seems very similar. I mean, I like the size of this thing. That's probably the best thing about it, like the actual form factor. And yeah, everything seems to work. Can't really complain. I mean, it's expensive, but that's just the price that you have to pay. What is my favorite server framework language? I don't know really. I think Node.js is really easy to learn, but it's not typed, like it's dynamically typed, so I don't like that about it. I mentioned this before, but I use Google Golang, and that's a strictly typed language. So typing in that language, that framework is easier, but it's harder to learn, but it's easier to at the same time learn. It's both harder and easier to learn. Yeah. Why Kotlin, not Java? Well, Java takes a lot of typing, and I probably wouldn't even do any Android videos if I had to type in Java. There's just way too much typing, and it's really hard to type and record at the same time. Like, I actually find it really easy to do the videos in Kotlin compared to Swift. So like The Swift programming language takes even more, or it's not, it takes more typing than Kotlin, but it's less typing than Java. And the Swift, I guess Xcode is really slow. So whatever makes me type slower is the thing that I like the least. So Valenta says, can you please create some more paid apps like your Instagram, like Tinder or Snapchat? So again, I have some Tinder. I have a portion of maybe Tinder built out. I would like to create something that's more like fully fleshed out so that I can teach how things work to make a Tinder style application. I don't know yet. How could you think Brian is a bad teacher even if you didn't understand? Well, I mean, yeah. I think as you get older, you get thicker skin. Is that correct? Is that accurate to say? And so as you understand and you see more of the world, you get to meet more people. You get to understand that just by default, 60 to 70% of people will either not like you, just like upon the first 5 minutes of meeting you, they just won't really like you at all. And trying to teach someone something is even harder because not everyone's teaching style will match your learning style. The teaching style of this channel is, I think it's different. Like you don't find a lot of like practical styles of teaching where you have a goal in mind. You have to break it down so that people can understand how to get to this final goal, which takes a lot of time, right? And I mean, I like the way that it works. That's kind of how I like to learn things. But yeah, not everyone's ready to learn the same way. And you just have to come to accept the fact that not everyone's gonna like you. So that's just the way it is. Do you recommend learning Kotlin or Java for Android development? So that's the kind of $1 million question. Do you have to learn both Java and Kotlin? Can you learn just Java for Android? Do you have to learn Java and then Kotlin to be a professional developer? So what are the possible scenarios, right? So this is the same question as the Objective-C versus Swift versus React Native. Well, let's say you want to get an actual job as an Android developer at a big software company where you actually have to kind of maintain the iOS stack and the Java Android stack, right? So you come in as an Android developer, you have to know Java. There's no way around that. So you need to know Java, which means that you have to learn it at some point in time. And then the question is, do you have to learn Kotlin at all? Well, if your company is relatively new and they want to improve or to make their development process easier for developers, then they will probably choose Kotlin as like the new pieces of code that they write out. And so you're kind of stuck in the place where, okay, I have to know both Java and Kotlin now. But the thing is, if you want to program in Kotlin, you kind of have to learn Java to understand all the documentation right now. It's kind of like when Swift first came out, right? You look at the Swift documentation and you're like, how do I write this stuff? Then you have to go back to the Objective-C docs because that's, at that time, that was the only thing that was available. So you go back to the Objective-C things and you understand how to like convert that to Swift. And like 5 years later, now all of the docs are prioritized on Swift. And if you learn Android development right now, you run into the same thing. Everything is kind of prioritized on Java. Just takes a couple of years for that kind of that switch or that inflection point where, okay, everything's slowly turning into Kotlin, and then bam, it just reaches that that, what is it called, critical mass, where everything just follows Kotlin after a while. Now, how many hours of sleep do I get per day? I don't know, probably like 8. I could probably work off 6 hours of sleep, and yeah. You know that you go to school and go to classroom, listen and take notes, and maybe what you learn, the actual learning time is just a short one. So how long really does it take to learn code? It takes probably like 5 to 6 hours a day of real programming to learn how to code. So programming is not, what is it not? It's not really like any other science where you just memorize a bunch of things. Programming is kind of like playing an actual sport or being an athlete. You have to train every day to get good at this job thing. And let's say you are trying to become a basketball player, right? You have to train how to shoot the ball. You have to run these drills. You have to know the offensive plays and the defensive schemes. And you have to know all these positions that you need to be in, right? You don't get good at this just by studying or watching video. You have to go onto the court. You have to move. You have to hit the weight room, get stronger, shoot better, practice every day. That's kind of what programming is like. It's not just like looking at a book, remembering all this stuff, and then getting tested on it just to make sure that you remember how this particular formula is written. Programming is not like that at all. You have to, it's like blacksmithing. You have to make a sword, start with a simple sword, make a bigger sword, then you make like a claymore sword or a broadsword, and then you get better that way. So everything that you kind of learn in school, it doesn't apply too much, unfortunately. It's not the programming approach, but about the lack of understanding of fundamentals. Yep. I had your Instagram course for 2 months, but I am only on lesson 3. I had to cover a lot of groundwork before I could understand your course. Yeah. Yeah, so when I released that Instagram course, I kind of realized later that it was a little bit advanced. So that's why I released like this other course, which is like an intermediate course. And then all of the videos on this channel is trying to build up all of this foundational understanding. So yeah, there's it's hard. It's hard for me. Yeah. So many questions. Which do you prefer, MVC, MVVM, or Viper? Can you answer me? So I get this question a lot. I remember having the same types of questions when I was getting into like Flex development, like what's the best framework. And then I got into a real job and I found out that no one really cares about this stuff. Yeah. Once you start working at a real company, you have to just listen to the person that architected the thing, and it'll look like some combination of all these 3 architectures. And so yeah, again, no one really cares about MVC or this Viper thing. Yeah, honestly, no one cares. New Year's resolution. I'm trying to produce like 1 course a month in the next year, so at least 12 courses. We'll see how far I get. I think I can actually get to like maybe even more than 12. So that's like 12 courses for the website, as well as maybe 12 other series for the YouTube channel. So in total, maybe I'll be able to get 24 courses done. And now that I think about it, it's kind of a daunting task, right? And I don't look at it that way. I just think about just doing the doing one thing at a time. I can't do 24 courses in the span of 1 month. And over time, I've gotten faster at doing things, which also helps a lot. You figure out what works. So the thing that's hard about YouTube is kind of streamlining your process so that you don't waste too much time on doing the things that take too much time. Yeah, pretty sure you guys don't want to hear about the YouTube struggles. It's good to listen to an actual coder. Yeah, you don't really find a whole lot of coders on YouTube that talk about coding. That's all. So if you go to Udemy, all you find is like these coders, or you don't really find coders, but you find people that don't have real world development experience trying to teach you code. So those guys, it's like they're a good resource if you want to learn just the basic foundations, but once you want to get past that, you can't find too many knowledgeable coders. Yes, I do have plans to make a new course. I have a couple of ideas. We'll see what I release first. What laptop did you start with? I'm pretty old, so I started off with an old Dell laptop. And I built a lot of my own computers way back in the day. That's kind of how I got into computer hardware in the beginning. And then I stopped. So I really actually want to build a computer to help me edit videos. My $2,500 laptop, this thing that cost me $2,500, is actually slowing down ever since the update of High Sierra. And so I need to build a new computer. Yeah. Yeah. So something else that's interesting is like pagination of your app. Yeah, it's a hard thing to teach and hard thing to learn. First video tutorial with your teaching is this. Please watch Instagram. I think my Instagram is like build that app. I think it's exactly what my Twitter handle is. I don't have a lot of posts on my Instagram profile because it's really my personal Instagram. So yeah, maybe I'll post more things on Instagram. So Andrian says, just want to say thank you. Low Tech Macan, which is his new app, finally goes live on the App Store. I can never do this without you. Thank you so much. Still can't believe that I can launch this app this year. Yeah, I mean, congratulations for getting this first step done in terms of your programming career. And now that you've got it done, you kind of see how long that process takes, huh? Yeah. Go promote your. The thing about the way that YouTube works is that you should make something that's easy to search for. SEO is how YouTube ranks your videos, how you prioritize on the search list. So make things that are really like what people are searching for, obviously. Why don't you use Android phones? Try it. I have like 3 Android phones with me. So I have an iPhone 10. I was on the iPhone 7 Plus before that. I have a Motorola Moto 5G phone. I have a Vivo phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy phone. So I'm kind of technology or company agnostic. I find it really funny that people get into these debates or these religious wars about Apple versus Android or Apple versus whatever Samsung company. I don't really care. It's entertaining to see how people fight over this stuff. It's like me saying that chocolate ice cream is better than like chocolate marble ice cream, or chocolate ice cream is better than Rocky Road, which is better than the coffee flavored ice cream. Why would you ever say this kind of thing? Just pick and choose whatever you want and just try it all out. I mean, there's really you don't lose in this situation. We love your courses and your method of teaching. Never stop. You are awesome. I'm trying to do my best to not stop doing this. Yeah. So trying to build out a sustainable YouTube business takes time. Saying that is difficult is not the right way to characterize it, but trying to build out like a 3 to 5 to 10 year plan on how to sustain all of this, the YouTube life. I don't exactly know what is the topic of this live video, but I want to say good job for the effort you are doing. Great work. Yeah, just have a question. I don't really know what the topic for today is anymore. Okay, so we're dropping below 58 watching, so I'm gonna end this stream in just a little bit and do something else with my time than boring you guys with all these questions here. Is it okay if I only learn Swift? Probably not. Programming is way more than just Swift, and when you find your very first job, you'll figure out that kind of firsthand. Like it's kind of like, let's use the chef example again. You want to get a job cooking at a restaurant, right? And let's say you only know how to make like chocolate cake. Well, making that chocolate cake isn't gonna keep that restaurant in business, so you gotta learn how to do everything else. Should I go to college? That's a good question. I don't know. If I could do it all over again, I would skip college entirely, and I would figure out how to get into software development another way. Question is, how does it check behind game file that you have? Because a problem. Oh, this is a really hard question to read, so I'm not going to read it. So you see that coding is like writing or soccer, where you learn it's a platform, and then with the previously known, you learn the next one or a different one. Everything still seems kind of the same to me after a while. Programming, or you can think of the platform or the framework as the game, and you just have to learn how the game works. So you have to learn how the web framework game works, and you have to learn how the iOS UI kit game works, and the Android game. It's all just a game. If you think of it as a game, then it becomes easier. How many hours a day did you practice programming language to master it, and for how long? Well, I'm still trying to master things every day. If you find yourself not understanding something, then you just want to get some practice at it before you move along. It's not really about being proficient or not. It's all about like knowing how to learn something faster. So even as a professional developer, writing these $1 million applications for people, you are just constantly Googling things and like ripping off ideas on the internet, really. Like professional programmers right now are just professional rip-off code rip-off artists. You're just ripping off code from blog posts, and you rip off code from like other open source libraries and frameworks like Alamo Fire and caching libraries. You just rip off the code. That's it. And like you guys are just ripping off the code that I show you guys in these videos, right? So programmers is just a cycle of taking code from other people, nothing more than that. And being proficient really means, okay, I'm faster than you at taking this guy's code and modifying to be whatever I need it to do. That's the game in 2017, 2018. Who taught me how to code? I kind of learned it just. I think I learned coding early on when I was like 17 in high school, just by myself. And then I went to community college and learned how to program in C. And the C programming language teaches you how to do like loops and write functions. I don't know, that class was like super easy. I got like 100% in that class. And everything was really easy in that course, like learning how to sort things, bubble sorting, merge sorting, memory allocation, all this stuff just came really easily to me. When I transferred over to university was when the programming courses got really hard, like really hard. So community college versus a real university is a big difference. High Sierra is the worst. I downgraded. It slows the startup and shut down dramatically. Yeah, High Sierra is kind of a pain in the ass. I need to find a way to downgrade, but I know that every like other year, Xcode requires that you requires that you are on the latest OS. So that's kind of what's holding me back in terms of kind of downgrading. How did you come up with your name? I don't know. It's a pretty lame YouTube channel name. It's just like, oh, what's the goal of the channel? Well, it's to build out like an app from the App Store. So, do you read Swift books? No, I don't. I mean, what's the best Swift book out there? It's called StackOverflow.com, or the better book, the Bible of learning Swift, is Google.com. Once you understand that, it's much easier. Like, what can't you Google for these days? And you can also find videos on YouTube to teach you how to program, teach you how to cook, teach you how to do just anything in the world. So the only thing books are really good for is like if you are traveling and you have to find something to do, then yeah, a book is like a wonderful thing to have. You don't have internet connection. You should find a good Swift book that matches your skill level, and you'll find a wide range of like reading levels in terms of programming. I think the Ray Wenderlich books are pretty good for beginners. They don't speak in a way that makes it difficult to understand. And I think, yeah, that's what I would recommend. The Objective-C IO guys, they have a really advanced book, which if you don't understand programming, then trying to consume that content can be difficult. Why did iPhone slow down their process and announce publicly on big scale? I don't know. And some moment you'll do clean architecture app. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. The Instagram course, I think I would consider that pretty clean. But if you were to take it to production, you would clean it up some more. I type pretty slow. So what you guys are seeing in the videos as I'm recording, that's pretty much my typing speed. I type probably a little bit faster when I'm not recording. Is it bad to steal other people's codes and modify it for your own use? Nope, that's pretty much what 99% of people do nowadays. Structure, big app, Pinterest, learn that, create another one. Maybe I'll do a Pinterest app. Send some challenges for our daily practice daily. So this is something I wanted to start, and maybe I'll do some of these challenges next year. No, okay, all right, cool. So thanks for joining today, and I'll see you guys probably in another 2 weeks or maybe next week. Enjoy your New Year's, and I'll try to enjoy mine. Bye, guys.